Yeah, very good afternoon. Now, exactly 3 o'clock. Good afternoon, participants. Now, we have one more deliberation. It is today's third session. The topic is on artificial intelligence, past, present, and future by Professor Yaseen Sheikh, Regional Technical Manager, APAC, Bengaluru. Sir, we are more privileged to have you for this session as a resource person. Now, I request Professor Sharan Raj to introduce the presenter to deliver the presentation.
Ayuda.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor for me to introduce our resource person, Professor Yaseen Sheikh. Yaseen sir is a graduate from Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani, and holds a postgraduate degree in analytics from Indian School of Business. He has more than 16 years of experience in areas such as spanning cloud engineering, analytics, and product support, and he has led the teams out of India in Australia, China, and Japan. He has worked with Infosys, Oracle, and is currently the regional technical manager for APAC Bengaluru. And he's also working with Aptio India Limited, which is a cost analytics startup company building its center of excellence in Bengaluru. He is passionate in teaching, and he has been actively involved in conducting sessions on analytics for Oracle University and Miles Education. With this, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Looking forward to your session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, everyone, for allowing me to share my views on artificial intelligence. So it's always been a pleasure to speak about artificial intelligence and data science. And what a nice opportunity to talk to the young minds, right? So thank you for having me here. And I always say that the toughest session that anyone can take is post-lunch, right? I know that most of the professors and the teachers here will admit with me and agree with me that the toughest session that you can take to the students is going to be post-lunch session. So I'll keep it as interesting as possible, as engaging as possible for sure. Okay. And I promise that I will not be taking it more than an hour. Okay. So most likely, I think I'll leave you guys by 1 hour. And I'll be here to take any questions that you have post that and keep it as interactive as possible. So feel free to stop me. It's not going to be an extempore. It's not going to be something that I keep telling about artificial intelligence and then you need to agree about whatever I have to say, right? So if you have a conflicting point of view, feel free to tell me. And if you have a different point of view, feel free to let me know as well so that we can have a discussion about it, right? Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you're able to see my screen first. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And I believe you have access to the chat, so feel free to send in your questions over there. And if I might probably be asking you multiple questions during our journey for the next 1 hour, and feel free to answer that. There are no right or wrong answers, and no one is going to be a expert in any of the fields here. So I might know something, I might not know something. So if I don't know something about it, I'll let you know that I don't know something about it, right? So if I know about something, I'll be happy to share that information with you. Okay. So sounds good. So let's get started. Okay. Okay. So you would have probably seen lots of news on the newspaper's website about artificial intelligence, right? So there are two schools of thoughts about artificial intelligence. Okay, and you might probably hear a lot more in the next 3 days about artificial intelligence and data science. So I'm not going to talk about what is data science and stuff. Okay, so I know that a lot of presenters will give you a textbook definition of what is data science and stuff, right? But I'm going to talk about what is this artificial intelligence means to us, right? There are two schools of thought. One is this Elon Musk school of thought, and the other one is the Mark Zuckerberg school of thought. Anyone tell me who's this Elon Musk guy? And can someone tell me who's this Mark Zuckerberg guy?
Tesla.
Yeah, so Elon Musk is the Tesla guy, and Mark Zuckerberg, who's this guy? Facebook guy. Okay, so Tesla believes that artificial intelligence will, at some point of time in future, will take over almost all the jobs that the humankind can do. Okay, so that is his point of view, and his other point of view is AI will wipe out humans. Okay, so at some point of time, the artificial intelligence will become so big that the humans will not be able to handle that. Okay, so that is his school of thought. There's another school of thought called Mark Zuckerberg school of thought, where Mark says that it will continue to create more jobs. It will create jobs.
Research scholar ಬರ್ತಾನೆ.
I'll give that a miss. So there will be one side where there will be creation of jobs. On parallelly, there will be reduction on the jobs, but not to an extent the way AI is going to create jobs. So net worth, you will see that AI will create. Okay, it's not that, like, say for example, what Mark says is that obviously when people were using typewriters, there were typewriter jobs, right? But when the typewriters went into oblivion, obviously the computer jobs came into picture, right? So similarly, you will find that lots of manual jobs which are done in the computers will go down, and there will be a streamline, another stream of another AI jobs, data science jobs, which will come up on the sidelines. So the one type of job will be taken over by another type of job. It's not that AI or machine will be able to wipe out the jobs. So that is his school of thought. And when used it to the best extent, and Mark says that internally, invariably, humans are naturally good. They would want to do good to the humanity. So it will invariably, what happens is any product that you create will become a success only when people accept it and appreciate it, right? So obviously people are clever enough to accept a product if it is good for them. Obviously, otherwise they are not going to use that product. So if they're going to use a particular product, that means that they are going to see if it is good for them or not good for them and then take it. So it will invariably help creating a better future for humans. That is why it's called as augmenting the humanity. And it's not something that it will wipe out humans. So two conflicting way of thinking, right? So I'm not going to say this guy is right and this guy is wrong. Okay, so one of them has to be right. Let's see what time has to say about it. Okay, but what I'm going to talk to you today is, what is this artificial intelligence about, and where does it history hold this artificial intelligence? Where was this root, and what is it currently, and where do we probably think it might probably step into the future, into the post-COVID world, and how can India benefit from this artificial intelligence? Okay, so these are the things that we'll be discussing a lot today. Okay, so what is artificial intelligence? Can anyone? What is artificial intelligence? I'm sure speakers before me would have probably taught you guys also. So what is AI? Let's see some answers in the chat. See, it's a collaboration between humans and machines. Okay, very good. Automation of science systems with human intelligence. Okay, make machines think like humans. Yeah, I think Geeta Narayan ma'am actually has come closest to make machines think like humans. Exactly. Dr. Umesh also has come closer to that. So what they have told is that make machines think like humans. Okay, so there's actually a lot of thought behind that particular statement. So what does it say is, when do we call someone is intelligent? Like when I pick a student and I say that you are intelligent, then we normally use intelligence as a paradigm only with a human, right? So we have never used intelligence with machines at all. We have never, even now we don't use it. So what is this? Then why are we combining this artificials with intelligence? Because intelligence was something that was used primarily only with humans, right? And so what is this intelligence? Intelligence is some kind of a mental activity or reasoning from the data that you collect. And when someone is told as intelligent, that means that you are doing something which is expected out of you, and then you're doing some things which is more than. So if you have a mission which is going to say, for example, printer, okay, and it is printing out papers for me, then that is what it is supposed to do, right? So that is not, there is no intelligence inside it. Okay. But just imagine that if instead of me telling the printer, you need to print out this particular page of say flowers, if I just put say flowers to the printer and the printer prints out that flowers out. Okay. So what is this printer actually doing then? Printer is actually hearing out to me and then trying to process what this user is wants to do. And he reasons out what is supposed to be done and then picturizes it into a format and then prints it out into a paper, right? So if you're going to have an artificial way of replicating human behavior, that is called artificial intelligence, right? So the very simplest way that you can say is that you're going to replicate human behavior, but through artificial means, right? So if a machine is doing what it was supposed to do, then it is not artificial intelligence. But if a machine is doing something that a human would probably do at that point of time, then it is called artificial intelligence. Okay. So now we are stepping into some unknown territory. So there's one famous test called Alan Turing test. Okay. So I'll tell you the scenario. Can one of you tell me where we are using it in our day-to-day life? Okay. So Alan Turing was a very famous Nobel laureate. So he did a very simple test to test if a particular system is actually working to the best of its capability as artificial intelligence. Okay. So what do I mean by that? So if I put a screen and if I make you sit on one side, and then if I make you interact with an unknown person or a thing on the other side, and if you are unable to find out if you are interacting with a human or with a robot, right? Then that means that robo has passed the test of Alan Turing test and it has upgraded itself from being called as a mission and it has moved into an artificial intelligence mission. Okay. Any idea where this particular thing is actually happening in real life? Anyone? We have seen this happening in our day-to-day life. Have you seen this anywhere? Obviously, you're not sitting behind a screen, but just imagine that you are interacting with something, but you do not know if it's a human or a machine that is talking back to you. You are on one side, and there is some X machine or human on the other side. You're not able to see the machine, or you're not able to see if it's a machine or a human on the other side. But you are convinced that at the other side, it is only a human which is talking back to you. But invariably, it was actually a machine which is talking back to you. Has it been used anywhere in real life now? Chatbot. I think Dr. Gautam Jaiswal has actually told it correctly. So initially, if you had probably used chatbot earlier, some 5-10 years back, 5-6 years back at least. So it was an automated replies which were coming back. So it doesn't matter what you were telling, it will give you only like an options like in EVRs, right? Like when you call the call centers in phone, it will ask you to press 1 for this, press 2 for that. Similarly, chatbots were asking you to press 1 for this and press for 2 for that, right? But now you feel that you are using chatbot and you're actually speaking to some XY person, right? But actually, it's not a person sitting behind. It's actually only a bot. It's actually a bot, which is on the other side, machine, which tries to understand what you are asking, right? So when you type in some query, it tries to understand what is happening and tries to see what is the issue and it replies back to you, right? So there are a lot of different versions of it now. Now, even I think some companies like Dell. I think last week I had a problem with my laptop, so I called up Dell and they gave me a WhatsApp number. I was like, "Why are you giving me a WhatsApp number?" So they told you can just message me there and they will respond back to you. So when I started messaging them, it was actually a bot replying back, but I didn't get a feeling that it was actually a bot. So I was typing in, it was trying to get all the information that is required, and it was trying to find out the issue and let me know, right? So this is called Alan Turing test. This was Alan Turing came up with this test way back in 1950s. Okay, so what is this mission systems in artificial intelligence was supposed to do? So artificial systems in artificial intelligence was supposed to do the right thing. And who defines this right? The user who codes defines what is it right? And so what happens is every artificial intelligence system has a function. So like say for example, if I am going to create a artificial intelligence system which is going to evaluate the question papers, answer sheets of students. Okay, so what is going to be the function? The function is going to be to make as minimal errors as possible while evaluating the question paper for the students, right? So always the end result of a system in artificial intelligence is going to be to optimize a value function, right? So like say for example, what is going to be a value function for like your Google map, right? So Google map, the value function is to find out the route from distance x to a place y such a way that the distance is the lowest and taking into consideration all the climatic climatic considerations, the traffic considerations, and everything put together, right? So that is going to be the function. And then what is it going to do is the machine is going to optimize that function. So it's going to put all the combinations and permutations and find out which route is going to be the best, and it is going to then give you the result. So the moment you click, this is going to be my destination, this is going to be my source of origin in Google Map, and click on enter, the rotation that it does actually does this function. So it optimizes that function and then throws out the result. So similarly, like say for example, your Ola and Uber. So the moment I say source and destination, and I need a cab, okay. So what is the function there? Someone tell me what is the value function over there, and what does it try to optimize? What would be a value function over there?
Trying to optimize the time that's required to travel there.
Time to is it the time to go from X to Y?
Yes,
Or
yes.
is it the time to get you a cab?
No, it's the time to get you a cab.
Exactly, sir. So what is it trying to do is that going from X to Y comes next, okay? But the value function is what is the nearest cab I can get to the particular user who is booking for a cab, considering all the different aspects of environmental functions that I need to apply. And then I will optimize it and make it better, right? So the whole idea of artificial intelligence hinges upon identifying the value function. So any product that you create in artificial intelligence, right? So first thing first is you need to identify the value function and then you optimize it, right? So that is all the artificial intelligence is doing. So take anything, like say for example, a travel industry. Okay. So uh, I have a product which is going to be helping the air industry. Okay. So can someone tell me if I'm going to create a product for air industry, what is the type of a product with a value function that I can create for an air industry? What can I do?
We can create
Mhm.
just like what the booking air booking websites are
Correct.
using.
Correct.
Suppose if I am booking a ticket from Bangalore to Delhi,
Mhm.
immediately the kind of information that I am putting into it, and
Mhm.
with that information,
Mhm.
it might come out with something else,
Mhm.
like giving me various options of the flights availability, the connectivity,
Mhm.
and aspects of like such a.
Yeah. So what so is telling is a more of a recommendation engine, right? So if you are going to book a particular ticket from here to here, then what are the other secondary bookings that you can probably suggest that person, secondary routes that you can suggest a person, and you'll also find that the moment I book a ticket, then you'll also find out that okay, from in the destination place, it will suggest you the cabs that can be taken from there, the hotels that are nearby to your airport where you need to stay, and all the stuff. So that is more of a recommendation engine. So that's the value function there is to optimize the money that you are trying to get from the consumer, right? So you are trying to suggest or cross sell or upsell your products to the same customer, right? So for the same example, if your value function is to cross sell or upsell something to your customer, right? So then if that is the case, then can you suggest any other place where it has been widely used nowadays, where a product is upselled or cross sell, like similar to recommendation engines, anywhere that you're seeing in real life?
It is used in Amazon.
Exactly. Amazon, Flipkarts, OTTs, right? So the Netflixes, Amazon Prime Videos, Hotstar's, you see the titles coming in as recommended for you, right? All that it does is it defines a value function telling that, okay, this is the type of the user that I have, and this is the top 40, 50 titles of movies or web shows that are being seen by different people. Can I find out a correlation between the character of this person and the type of the movies, and the ones which are having a correlation, can I give that as a recommendation for that particular person? Then that's how it is done, right? So they are now, then they are being suggested to you as recommendations, right? So the recommendations itself is different, right? So you will find that recommendations itself is of different types. One is um, they'll say that it is recommended for you, right? They are personalizing it for the viewing pattern of you, right? So that is a type of recommendation. Can you suggest me any other recommendations that you have seen? Any other type of recommendation?
For example, if I have watched some particular type of a movie in Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
so immediately Netflix will come out with, since you have watched this
Exactly.
movie.
Since you watched that movie, right? So it's not about
Yes,
you, it's about the product that you have
yes,
consumed. Okay. So what it is trying to do is,
exactly. Yes,
I'm it's recommendation for you means is a separate type of recommendation. There's another recommendation called recommendation based upon your viewing privileges, viewership, right? So because you viewed this movie, a lot of people are viewing this movie and that movie, so I'm giving you that, right? And the other one is the normal trademark that we have top 10 picks in your geographical location and stuff. So that is also being done. So next time you will probably see when you go into Amazon and the Prime Videos and the Netflix, you will probably be able to differentiate what is it trying to take into consideration, right? So simple things first is that you would have probably seen this one used in your Play Store. When you log into your Play Store, and without even you having used that phone ever, you can see that there would have been an algorithm run in the backside, and you would have been seen that a list of apps would have been shown in the first line as recommended for you, isn't it? Have you seen that?
Yes,
So
sir.
that does not take history of yours, right? So how do you think, where does that take the history? Where, what is it based on?
it's based on the data that I have entered into the system.
Exactly. That's the data that you entered into the system when you created the phone profile, and also you obviously would have linked it to your Google platform, Google profile, right? So some of the public profile shared ones, it takes few of those characteristics and it tries to do very bad recommendation over there the first time when you do it, and then once over a period of time, then it does a good job. Okay, so that's how a system in AI. So to put it in short, any system in AI has a value function, and then it tries its best to optimize the value function. Okay. So what makes an AI system? So like say for example, I have a say a 3-year-old kid, or I think these years 3-year-old kid starts learning addition. No, I don't think so. A 5-year-old kid learns addition. So I'm taking a 5-year-old kid and I'm going to teach that kid how to add. Okay, single digit addition. Okay, so as long as it is trying to do 8 plus 8, it's fine. And then 9 plus 9, it still does it. Then suddenly I give a number like 21 plus 42. Okay, so if it's going to turn back and ask me for help, then the kid is asking me for help, right? But if the kid is able to figure out that it's actually the ones digit that carries forward into the tens digit, so I need to add that extra number with the tens digit and write the value, that is actually called intelligence, right? So I'm applying the same analogy to the AI system. I'm giving the data, I'm giving the digits, so the kid has to get the digits from somewhere. So system will have sensors to collect the data from different places. Then the kid has to reason out when it comes into a problem. If the kid keeps doing thousands and lakhs of one digit addition, that is not an AI system. Lot of people, lot of systems today are called AI system by doing only those hundreds and thousands of single digit additions, right? That is not AI system, right? So if you keep doing that, you are a good computer system, not an AI system. If it tries to reason out when it is encountering a problem, when I'm giving it a problem of adding 2-digit addition, when I have 2-digit addition, and it tries to reason out the problem, done this one. So if can I use this solution and try to do it for 3-digit addition? Will that work? Okay. If it works for this, will the 4-digit addition work? Okay. So then how do I optimize it and find out if my answer is correct or not? If I take the sum of the digits and subtract the one of the digits and gets the remaining answer, okay, it works. So if it's able to do those stuff, then it's called an AI system. So AI system has only main 3 important elements: have sensors to collect the data, have reasoning algorithm, and then finally, once you have arrived at a solution, you need to optimize the solution. Okay. So as I mentioned to you, I think because we used the term intelligence very interchangeably with only humans, and the games which were typically associated with intelligence were chess, checkers, Othello, like that, right? So chess was supposed to be a game which only the brainy kid used to play, right? So the first time when artificial intelligence was used was to test if that machine was able to play a game of chess, right? So that was our first artificial intelligence foray into real life scenarios. Then it's still being used. It's still lots of people who are playing professional chess use um, good AI systems to plan and train against. Okay, and mathematics, like how we have planned, have discussed about route planning. We discussed about in air industry. Air industry uses it heavily. FedEx uses it heavily for route planning. Amazon uses it heavily for deliveries. So another some of the important use cases were speech recognition and image recognition. So speech recognition was an important one that had developed, and image recognition developed the last decade. And the biggest of them all was the natural language processing. Can someone tell me what is the natural language processing? Where is it being used? Anywhere?
It is used in Google.
Yes, very good use case. Where in you Google?
For language translation.
Yeah, language translation. Okay, there are two use cases in NLP, natural language processing. You give a sentence in one language, and then you compare that sentence using a dictionary, and then give the translated language, translated sentence in another language. That's effectively a word-by-word translation that happens, isn't it? So that is a lexicon way of doing a translation. That's also part of NLP. Okay, but now we have moved ahead of it. So if you're using Gmail, and almost everyone does now, when you started typing out any mail, you can see that Gmail is trying to finish off your sentences. Have you seen that? Have you seen this?
Typo suggestions.
So, yeah, it's
Typo
like right suggestions. And even in Google, when you're searching for something, it gives you those suggestions, right? So what is that trying to do?
Machine learning only.
It's machine learning. But what is it trying to do is, it's trying to understand the meaning of the sentence that you're trying to write.
Yeah.
It's not actually doing a word-by-word verbatim translation over here. Okay, so that is the next step. Instead of doing a verbatim lexicon way of translating it from one sentence to the other, we are moving ahead from the verbatim translation, which was done earlier, and mission is trying to understand what you're trying to write, and it's trying to complete the sentences that you're trying to do, right? So that is natural language processing. So,
and while speech to typing, if you speak, that is also
speech recognition, yeah. So
no, while speaking, you can speak and then it will be typing.
Exactly. You can actually, it is still not doing a great job at that, but we can see that YouTube has opened up CCs, subtitles. If you can see, I think it was done last month or something.
Yeah.
So all YouTube videos now comes with subtitles. You do not have, earlier what used to happen is, you need to create a video, and then you need to create subtitles whenever the person is speaking at what, okay, so at third minute, 42nd, I need to publish this subtitle and I need to write it and give it. Okay. So now what happens is, you do not have to write down your subtitles. What it does is, automatically your subtitles will keep coming in the bottom. So that's a huge advancement. Now, irrespective of the language in which you are going to upload a video, you can get the subtitles added automatically. So that is, yeah, you are the best use case that you're told, speech to text recognition. It's still, we are still doing a okay job over that, but at least better job than the image recognition. Image recognition, you're still doing a bad job. We still need to do a better job. I'll show you how. I'll show you how it is working. Okay.
Cross check also while.
Which one, sir? Which one, ma'am?
Cross check of the documents and whether they have copied from somewhere. Yeah.
Correct. I think there are quite a few softwares that have been used for verifying the authenticity of the documents that have been submitted and stuff. So that's been a good improvement. So what currently does is that it is not clever enough to identify if it is really authentic or not. But what it tries to do is, given a document, a similar copy of the document, is it existing anywhere in the world? That's all. So it will go to all the repositories which are available for documents, and will search if a similar document is available in the repository. That's all it does. It's not tries to understand, like say for example, if I jumble up the sentence and write, okay, and from the original document it is 1 2 3 4 5, and here if I write it as 4 3 2 1 4 or something like that, it will not be able to match it exactly. Okay, so we still have a long way to go there. Awesome. So let's talk about the history. So Alan Turing, he was a very adamant guy who wants to prove people that machine can be taught. So he asked the simple question. I propose to consider the question: can machines think? So this is exactly what I was talking about, the Alan Turing test. It's still used widely. So if a person is unable to differentiate if it's a human or a machine on the other side of the blind, then the mission actually passed the test of artificial intelligence. So this is called the famous Alan Turing test. Okay. So artificial intelligence did not have a very successful ride. Uh, it started off way back in 1950s. It was not something which is there in 2000. So people, it created lots of interest. People were gung-ho about it, and Alan Turing proposed this model, got Nobel Prize and all. But then what happened is you will see that a lot of people were going for his speeches and a lot of conferences are held. And then suddenly people lost interest. People thought that, okay, this is all theoretical. It cannot go into anything that can be practically done. So 1970s, the interest waned away. And in 1970, something happened. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. Then again, there was a renewed interest on, okay, so can we go, looks like we have made some breakthrough. Looks like we are able to do something. But mathematics and everything was actually doing a very good advancement over here. So we were actually doing a good job at mathematics side of it. Building algorithms was being done. But the problem was that the data that was getting collected, we were not having place to store it. If you probably would have be able to understand what I'm trying to say is that a 256 MB data was taken in floppy disk at those times, right? 2004, 2005. I still remember in my college when I was passing out, I used to carry a project 256 MB's data in a floppy disk, and I used to carry, right? So there was no easy way to collect and store data and give data to one place to another. So it was very tough. And so, okay, we thought of doing something over here, but again, it was not happening. So we went down the hill again. People lost interest. And then again, something again happened close to the 2000. And then there was this huge uptick right after that. Okay. Here and what happened here. And why is this happened is what we're going to see. Okay. So the first thing, when the first summer happened and the first winter happened, what happened was that whatever was in theory at that point of time was never proved to be practically viable. And then what happened was that in one of the labs in 1996, a mathematical conjuncture which was not solved for decades and decades were actually solved by an artificial intelligence system. So much so that the New York Times went ahead and told that if this was something which was solved by a human, then we would have probably termed that human as intelligent or creative. So what they actually indirectly told, a machine has solved this problem, but if a human had solved this problem, we would have probably called that human as intelligent. Basically, what they have indirectly told that is a mission, an intelligent mission was born at that particular point of time, right? So then came the biggest breakthrough. Can anyone tell me what is happening here? Can anyone identify this guy?
Invention of computer.
No. This is a more refined version of computer. So
no, microprocessor and the first.
No. There is a relationship between this chess board, this guy, and the flag holds a significance as well.
Time maintaining for moving the check.
Sorry?
They are maintaining the time with the help of computers.
No. They are still using the old school method of maintaining the time only. No. Anyone?
One is playing through system.
Yes, Dr. Gautam Jaiswal has the answer. Garry Kasparov. Yes. This guy was the reigning chess champion, undisputed chess champion. He's currently now the politician in Russia, but at that point of time, he was the reigning champion for a long period of time. Okay? So this guy was someone that everyone dreaded. No, he was undefeatable, right? So what happened was that one person told that I created a software, an artificial intelligence software. So now, depending upon whatever the person is going to make a move, the computer is going to think what the person's next 8-9 moves are going to be, and I'm going to make a move. Okay, let me check if he can beat me. Okay, so the mission was dropped 3-0. Okay, so it was a huge loss for the computers, and they told that, okay, fine, you are no way close to this one. Then they went back, and then they made some changes and everything, and they told the next year, telling that, can we have a rematch with Garry Kasparov? So Garry Kasparov said that, okay, come back. I defeated you very easily last time around, so let's have a rematch. I think you can see this here, right? So Kasparov versus Deep Blue. So this system was called Deep Blue, the rematch, right? So when the rematch happened, actually the computer defeated Garry Kasparov 3.5 to 2.5 score. Okay, so that was the first time where in a particular platform which was considered to be where the intelligence was measured in terms of humans, which is nothing but chess. Chess was supposed to be a platform in which human intelligence was measured. Human was defeated by computer, right? So it was a shock. And that is when people started believing that, okay, when we are able to make the right moves on this artificial intelligence systems, we are going to make something which is really big, right? Which will probably not the human intelligence can even think of, right? So this was a breakthrough moment. Okay. So now we have made quite a few advances, but I would still say that we are still bad with regards to how we have shaped up robots. Now, I think right before our COVID had hit us in 2020, we had a Robo Cup, which was done in Sydney, where robots played. It was not controlled by humans. It was like robots playing football on its own. Okay, so we are still far, far, far away from seeing robots naturally playing, but it is still a good advancement from where we were. Okay, so I'm going to play this video. Plus, please don't laugh because it's quite funny. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. It's still a primitive version. Okay, so we're still far, far away from robots playing, and this is not controlled by humans. This is not like someone playing with your joystick. This is completely robots playing on their own. Okay. It's all automatically programmed. So this is one country versus another country playing. Okay. And it is not controlled by anyone. They are playing it on their own. So just imagine they should hear the whistle sound and start playing. Okay. You saw that the moment the whistle sound went, they started moving. Okay. Oh, sure.
Sound is not audible.
No, yeah. The audio is there inside this one. But yeah, just look at the video. That should be good. This is like the small kid being taken away from the room. It's trying to recover and get up. See, that's the best part. Oh my god, it's still not. It's trying to. Okay, it almost there. Okay, not bad. So this is where we are. So all those stuff that you see in the movies, that robots doing all those fancy, unnatural stuff, we are still far, far, far away from that. Okay, so this is in reality what a completely AI robo can do. Okay, okay, it is going to take, and finally it has scored a goal. Okay, so that's why people are cheering. Okay. I think someone has to teach them how to celebrate a goal as well. Okay. Okay. So all said and done, but what happened after this 2010? Okay, I gave it away already. But there was something should have happened before this 2010 when this happened, right? See this huge uptick. Can anyone tell me what has happened? Why is this happening? Keep an eye on the chat. What happened in 2010 onwards, okay, was social media boom. Okay, yeah, okay. There are three important things that happened. Okay, so we were moving in from normal phones to smartphones. Okay, it came late to India, but we still had taken the step at that point of time. So what was happening with smartphones was we were creating data in a much faster pace and in humongous number than what we were doing before. So data was getting generated in a never seen before volume and velocity, right? So that is one. Other one is to keep up with the data generation, your storage capacity was increasing tremendously. Like say, for example, I'm not sure if you're able to see it. Are you able to see this hard disk here? In my hand?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So this hard disk, anyone guess what is the size of this hard disk? How much can this hard disk store?
In terms of
1
TB.
1 TB.
In GB, yeah, in GB or TB.
TB.
Exactly. So I can store 2 TB of data in this.
Yeah.
And I was the same person who was carrying a floppy disk carrying 256 MB. So that is, just imagine that 256 MB and 2 TB. It is like not even 1,000 times. It's like 10,000 times of data that I can carry with me within a matter of 14, 15 years, right? So the storage capacity has moved away from somewhere to humongous increase in improvement in the storage capacity. And the third important thing is computational power. So your phone can actually do whatever work that your old laptops were doing. Okay, so you can see now that the computational power of your phones is going to be what, 4 GB RAMs or something, right? And you'll on one side you have phones which are 4 GB RAMs, and other side you have laptops which are in 4 GB RAMs. I'll not be surprised if you're going to have in another 1-2 years you have a phone which is 8 GB RAM, right? Then you might probably be able to do everything and anything that you can do on your Dell laptop on your phone itself, right? So data generation, algorithms, and computational power, all three grew side by side, which helped artificial intelligence to grow. Okay, nice drawing, by the way. So as I told you, have you already hit the red patch? I'll tell you what's happening. What was happening some 10 years back was our AI system was only able to find out if it was a mammal, okay, given a picture. Then we made progress and we were able to find out if it was a placental mammal. Then we made progress to find out if it was a carnivorous or a non-carnivorous animal. Then we were able to make progress to find out if it was a canine. Then we were able to identify as a dog. Now we were able to find out what action the dog was doing. And then we were now able to find out the classification of dogs. So this took us almost close to 8 to 10 years, okay, to have done this. So we are still a long time away from what Elon Musk is doing, right? So Elon Musk is what is he trying to do is he's trying to build a driverless car, and he's been trying to do that for more than a decade now. So I do not buy into the concept of Elon Musk telling that we'll be left away by the missions one day, because we're still a long way away from that. Okay, and this was something for the image capture and for the image processing and stuff. You might probably be covering this in one of the lectures in the next 2 days. So this is called neural networks. So what is this neural networks? What is this neurons in our body? What is neuron?
Smallest part of nerves.
Exactly. So what is this nerves?
Memory cell.
Yeah,
Memory cells.
It takes
Nerves.
actually message from a input actually.
Very good.
It is a
So you're
sensor.
taking an input from one side and then you're passing your output from another side and you're processing inside, right? So now we are moved away from a primitive way of algorithms to what we call as neural networks. Initially, the neural network, when it was built in 2012, was we were having around close to 4 layers or something like that. Now we are able to build a neural network which is 150 to 52 layers neural network. And this blocks that you see, this is the error ratio. So error ratio, which was around 25% error in 2011, we are able to come down to 3.57 in 2015. Okay, so we have been able to reduce the error that an artificial intelligence system can make on the images very, very greatly. But but the problem is it's very highly cost sensitive. If, you need to move in from a 22-layer system to a non-52-layer system to achieve this. So what I expect is that in the next 4 or 5 years, companies are going to spend a lot of time on how are we going to make this one cost effective, right? So let's see. Okay, so now let's see about how image processing is currently being done. Okay, so these set of rows show how the image processing is working without any errors. This is my work life where it shows some minor errors, and these are the ones which it showed somewhat related to the image. It gave me a result, but this one was completely out of the box. It was not. It was giving me a description which was not even close to what the image was. So let's see one example. So here it has correctly pictured this as a group of young people playing in the game of frisbee. See what it has done. It has identified the frisbee. It has identified people as young, and they are also identified that they are playing. So they identified the action, the people, and also the object. Okay. So here, two hockey players are fighting over the puck. Okay. So they are not fighting for sure. So it's made a small mistake. And then little girl in a pink hat is blowing bubbles. The girl is not blowing bubbles at all. So at least it has identified the pink hat, but it's not done a good job over there. Next. This is certainly not a refrigerator filled with food and treats. So it has done a bad job. Oh, so we are still far, far away from what we term it as error-free artificial intelligence system. So companies are still working on to build lots of error-free systems, but it's still a long way to go from there. So this is just a timeline of where we were and then where we are at this point of time. So this is Alan Turing's theory of computation in the 1950s, and then slowly and steadily, here we are with this huge surge happening because of the storage computational power increase, and also because of the tremendous amount of whatever we call it as data generation that we are doing. Okay, so now we are having robots being given citizenships by Saudi Arabia. So there we are at this point of time now. Okay, so what's the future? Okay, we have talked a lot about the history and the present. So what's the future? What do I see as future? Okay, let's see. And future is going to be, let's see, let me just demarcate it into two sects. One is going to be on first and second world countries, which are much, much more advanced than developing countries. Okay, so quality of life will certainly improve on those countries because they have a health system which is already computerized and well documented. So you you can easily find that they will be able to better predict when something is going to go wrong with a particular person than what we are able to do in countries like India. Okay, so quality of life and medication and medical prediction, healthcare is going to be greatly benefited with the AI. Okay, so you can also already see that Novavax, and a lot of new companies, drug companies. Moderna used AI to a great extent from Oracle for finding out their vaccine, right, for COVID. So you will find that countries and companies will be able to greatly benefit from AI. Right? So those which were actually taking years and years to
The
do
recording has
computation,
stopped.
now you can
This
see
meeting
that
is
we
being
are able to do
recorded.
it much more faster. Okay? Productivity. So productivity is something that's going to improve a lot. So earlier, what was happening was that you will probably find it in the other sessions that um, professors will be able to discuss it more. I'll certainly talk about the financial systems on the third day. Is that starting from loan approvals to bank disbursements. Just imagine the NEFTs, the money transfers, and everything. So you are able to do it in a click of a button at this point of time, right? There's so much of artificial intelligence involved in every click of it, right? So we'll talk a great deal about how the financial system is using artificial intelligence in the second session. Autonomous vehicles, Elon Musk and Tesla continues to experiment with autonomous vehicles. Good luck to them. Hopefully, we don't find driverless cars on the Bangalore roads, but let's see how it goes. Personalized healthcare, like I mentioned already, that's going to be one thing that's sure to happen. Robotics in manufacturing, we already seen that 60% of the work in manufacturing is already being done by robots, and we expect that number to actually go bigger and bigger. Um, Home robots, we can already see that there are lots of uh, home robots which are already being used, like cleaning robots, mopping robots, and small instruments which have been rolled out by. Last week, I think we had a rollout by Realme and me on home robots for cleaning and mopping. And there's so much of investment going on there because people are working from home during COVID, and we see a lot of people interested in buying those small robots because when people are forced to do home activities instead of needs, right? So we see that a lot of people are actually investing on that. Disaster management, we see that where we have to invest on people to save people, right? It is much more prudent to send in robots. We already saw that in some of the hospitals in US and in also in India that for serving people who are infected with COVID, they sent in robots to serve in people, right? So we'll see that happen more now in future. So jobs, the big question about jobs. So there's even during the COVID times, there were 364,000 jobs created in 2020 and 21 during this pandemic times. But the fact of reality is that in the next 2-3 years, the mundane jobs will go. So a lot of data entry jobs, a lot of jobs where you do not have to think, but to do uh, day in and day out, you do the same thing, that will go. Okay. You will have artificial intelligence and data science replace some of the more normal routine things that are being done by people. There will be a different stream of jobs which will be created. So in the last 3-4 months alone, we had around close to 50,000 vacancy in India in 2021. So the problem is now is um, are there jobs is the wrong question to ask. Are we having the right people for the jobs is the bigger question that we are asking now in data science. So there are a lot of openings, but the problem is you're not able to get the right candidates. So there will be huge demand for people who are having the necessary skills. Um, in India, so we are already investing heavily on education. You can see that um, Byju's, Akash, and also QMath and everything are using artificial intelligence to a great extent when they are rolling out education systems to kids. But I would love to see if we are able to have a free system where artificial intelligence is used for the betterment of taking the education to the masses instead of having a Byju's being a paid subscription. Because we have smartphones available for every household now, can't we have an open system software like a Byju's? You don't have to have a costly one like a Byju's, but a striped down version of a Byju's should be available as a free for download, like how we have 50,000 applications downloadable for games like a PUBG or another games. It makes lesser amount for able to create educational software similar to Byju's to get it into the hands of all the government school students everywhere in the country. So this is something that I hope we are able to do that as a society, because it's going to take some time when people go back to schools from COVID, and this is probably something that I expected India to have done during this time. Agriculture, there is again a lot of investment from the corporates, um, um, because it's recorded. I don't want to take the names. So there is certainly a lot of investment being done by few corporates on the agriculture to grow gene resistant, what do you call as monsoon resistant um, yields, varieties, so that it can continue. You don't have to have the yield of the crops bigger so much with monsoons. Okay, so there's certainly research being done on that. Smart cities is a huge, ambitious program driven by government of India. So certain cities are doing well, but they're still a long way from implementing it. So, but smart cities is certainly one of the ambitious programs that are being driven, but we need to see how it goes. So medicine is something that we are using it to a large extent because it is highly privatized. We are using it to a large extent. You can see some of the private companies and private hospitals using it to a good extent. Public safety is again an important one where a lot of private sector units have used it to a large extent, and government of India is also taking measures on how we are implementing artificial intelligence on public safety. So let's see how that goes, because I think last week I saw one of the artificial intelligence unit which was demoed by one of the school students. So I was actually very surprised because we used to maintain this social distance space, right? So he created a small artificial intelligence sensor where another person comes to closer to the other person between the 6 feet distance. It will start indicating it, and it will give an indicator for the other person to move away from the person. So we have really creative minds. The only thing is that if we are able to tap into this creativity and make it for good use, for betterment use, for the wholesome good of the society. So instead of finding an opportunity to cooperation with it every time. Yep. So that's all I have, I think. Do I? Yep, I think. I'm happy to take any questions. As promised, I think I finished by 4:10. Yeah.
Any questions, please?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for enlightening about the IA in different sector, past, present, future also. Thank you very much for this session. I have one question.
Yeah.
Sir, in future, is it possible to check the students' marks or as a student's response for a questions, let's say a set of questions? Based on that, can we micro inputs? Can we arrange a micro inputs for that? There's a hyper personalization. That's what a morning class one of the speaker was speaking. Is it possible in near future?
So I'll tell you what's happening now. So what's happened for a provided answer, if you want to cross verify it with existing details and then evaluate and give marks, there's no artificial intelligence involved here. So you are just using computer systems over there. But for artificial intelligence, then you need to evaluate a person's response, and the system should understand what the person has responded and need to evaluate based on that, right? So we are still a long way away from that. I don't think we are anywhere near that. So and we I think that's where the importance of teachers comes in, sir. So honestly, I think because there's no straightforward answer for a particular question when um, a subjective question is being asked, right? So if you're going to be asking a question which is having a definitive 1, 2, 3 answer, then obviously you can use computer software to evaluate and give marks. But if you are going to ask a question which is going to be quite subjective, there are different ways that you can implement something. then it is very, very tough to how a machine can do that evaluation. So that is going to be a very, very tough one to ask and to implement at all in the near future. So currently what's happening is that in even in TOEFL, IELTS and PTE exams, which evaluate the English literature readiness of a particular student who's appearing for the exam, what it tries to do is that it does well, the software actually does well in all the predefined features that has been given. But there is one concept called essay, where it actually goes to an individual to evaluate. So software still has a long way to go in evaluating the informative content over there.
Sir, one more question from Geeta Narayana.